It was a dull, gray afternoon. The sky hung heavy like a blanket of lead, and every gust of wind carried a biting chill, one that cut not just through skin, but down to the bones, to the soul. Ethan, a young man in his late 20s, with shoulders weighed down like the sky itself, walked quietly along the dirt path that led into Whispering Pines Forest. Life, something he had poured all his energy and passion into, now lay in ruins. He had just been fired from his promising job as a young architect, his most heartfelt design rejected. Not long after, Luna, the woman he thought would walk through life by his side, left him, taking with her all the promises that shattered like glass. Ethan's self-worth lay in pieces, like a pane of glass dropped onto cold marble. The path into the forest grew narrower, thorny, and wild. At one point, a fragile wooden bridge crossed a dry stream, and he nearly turned back. "Why am I even here, chasing some foolish rumor?" he muttered. But the thought of returning to his empty room and the 4 silent walls was more terrifying, so he clenched his jaw and pressed on. Rumor had it that deep within the forest lived an old man named Walter in a small cabin. They called him the Silent Sage, a man of few words, but each word said to carry the weight of a lifetime. Ethan didn't quite believe it, but he was desperate, and sometimes desperation is the compass that points toward the most unexpected roads. Walter greeted him at the door as if he'd been expecting him. He asked nothing, only gave a quiet nod and a gaze that seemed to peer right into Ethan's soul. The cabin smelled of pine wood, old books, and a hint of dried herbs. Strange wooden carvings adorned the walls, rough yet masterfully made. Ethan sat down in a wooden chair, and the storm inside him began to pour out. He spoke of sleepless nights with his sketches, of trust betrayed, of the crushing sense of being a worthless failure. His voice cracked at the end, and a question hung quietly in the air. "Why is life so cruel, sir?" Walter didn't answer right away. Instead, he stepped into the kitchen, set 3 small pots of water to boil, and dropped one item into each: a carrot, an egg, and a spoonful of roasted coffee beans. Ethan watched, confusion slowly turning into irritation. He had journeyed all this way for wisdom, not some cryptic cooking performance. "I'm not hungry," he mumbled. Walter only smiled, the corners of his eyes crinkling. After a while, he turned off the stove and lifted each item out. The carrot had gone soft, easily mashed with a fork. The egg, once peeled, was firm and solid. The 3rd pot had transformed into dark brown liquid, rich, aromatic coffee. Finally, Walter spoke, his voice deep and warm. All 3 faced the same adversity, boiling water, but how they responded made all the difference. He pointed to the carrot. It entered the pot strong, tough, but the boiling water softened it, broke it down. Some people are like that. They seem resilient, but even a little hardship makes them fall apart. Then he held up the egg. It began fragile, its shell protecting a weak interior, but the boiling water hardened it from within. Some people start out vulnerable, but adversity makes them stronger, solid at the core. At last, he motioned toward the cup of coffee. And the coffee beans. He looked Ethan in the eyes. They are the most special. They weren't changed by the boiling water. They changed the water itself. They turned it into something rich, bold, and full of life. There are people like that, Walter continued. They don't just survive hardship, they transform it. They turn pain into purpose, bitterness into beauty. They don't let the world shape them, they shape the world around them. Ethan was silent. He had seen himself as the carrot, once firm, now broken. He longed to become the egg. But the image of the coffee beans, it lit a completely new spark in his mind. Walter placed a calloused but warm hand on Ethan's shoulder. You don't get to choose the boiling water, but you do get to choose whether you're the carrot, the egg, or the coffee bean. Then he added gently, sometimes life isn't trying to break you, it's brewing you into something better.